Okay, I didn't get an opportunity to make one of these last week, and I didn't know for sure if I was going to get to make one this week or not. I'm just really busy right now with a whole lot of things. It's nothing serious going on. I came real close to making a YouTube short last week. If I had had a second or two just to make an announcement, hey, there won't be no video this week or something like that, but things didn't work out. Nothing seriously wrong or anything. Just have a whole lot of things going on. And this channel, of course, is not going anywhere. Still got plenty of commentary, and plenty of comments is what I was about to say. I just did another fumble over my words there. Plenty of plenty of things still to talk about. So for anybody who was getting worried that I might be disappearing, that's not going to happen anytime soon. At least no plans on this end. Now, the way the world works, who knows? Airplane could drop on me right now, and there'd be nothing I could do about that. But anyway, I had that happen before. Something came up and I had missed a week or two, and people thought I was packing it in and disappearing, but no plans to do that. But I didn't really have, because I've been really busy lately with work mainly, and I didn't really have time to gather my thoughts together to come up with an actual video to talk about. So this is kind of off the top of my head, and it's kind of an off the cuff video. So if it doesn't go too well, just forgive me. There'll be better content in the future. Is about all I can say. I'm still getting a lot of great comments, and I still have a lot of those I want to address because they make some really good observations that I have missed when it comes to pointing out the religious claptrap cult of AA. But one of the things that irritates me the most about the blanket assertions that AA puts out and the blanket judgments it makes about everyone from its own literature and the as though these statements are absolutely true and are carved into stone somewhere and they cannot be questioned or argued with or anything else, especially when it concerns the made-up AA higher power that they're always talking about. I almost wanted to do a video on that, and I may still get around to doing it, but that's a phrase that used to irritate me to no end. Why don't you get a God if you understand it? Well, you better get a God if you understand it. You're never going to stop drinking. You better get a God of my understanding. How does that work exactly? How do you get a God of your understanding? Do you just make it up? I mean, oh yeah, I got a God of my understanding. He sits right down here with me, and when I'm paying my bills, and when I wake up in the morning, and I got another day full of work ahead of me, and other things to do, he recommends which books I should read, and he likes the House of the Dragon better than Game of the Thrones, was or whatever. I mean, it all sounds like made up fantasy. And it's not even good made up fantasy because if you notice, everybody in AA has the same exact higher power. It's the higher power that demands that you be in submissive conformity to the AA cult, always being hard on yourself and always talking about what a piece of shit you are, forever doing steps, forever doing inventories, and forever kissing up to the old timers and gurus that run those meetings that really just get their rocks off by tormenting people that have less time than they do. It used to kill me when I would hear people say, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. No, you don't. You're a miserable old bullying asshole that doesn't give a fuck about anybody but your little soapbox that you get to do every day, your performance. No, you don't give a fuck about people's feelings or their fucking lives, to be honest. That's the only honest thing these AA people actually say. If one of your sponsors who treats you like that, if you was to go out and drink yourself to death and commit suicide to die, they'd be in the meeting the very next day saying, well, you see, this is what happens when people get in here and they start thinking that they know more than us, that they think more than us. This is what happens to smart people and people who believe their feelings are valid and all that, and they would turn it into another one of their fucking performance ceremonies, and then they would forget about you. They would forget completely about you, and they'd be telling the next newcomer that they don't give a fuck about your feelings. Like, what? If something is true, and if something is based in any kind of fact with evidence to back it up, or is real, then in my opinion, it shouldn't be afraid or exhibit hostility. I'm trying to get my words together, but exhibit hostility towards being questioned. If there's something, and I think I talked about this before in another video, but I'm leading up to what this topic is going to be tonight. If something is true or something is real or based in any kind of reality, it doesn't get hostile at the idea of it being questioned or examined or looked at. It doesn't fly off the handle and throw a temper tantrum at the idea that you might have doubts about it. I mean, that's part of one of the greatest, I think, things about, say, the scientific method or anything that you do in terms of skills or anything you figure out in life. You figure out things and you master things and you begin to understand things or learn things by doubting, by questioning, by not taking something at face value because it's asserted to you in a blanket statement. But one of the things that what was I gonna? I can't say the word off the top of my head. One of the things you cannot do in AA, of course, because it's question the program or question the AA higher power that you're supposed to get through your own understanding. Even though they tell you your thinking is completely flawed and got you here, your best thinking and it got you here, but you got to get a God of your understanding. Well, if my best thinking got me here, and you say that like it's a terrible thing, which ironically enough, I don't think they realize that they're saying your best thinking got you in this shithole place. I mean, if AA is so wonderful, wouldn't that be a good idea? Wouldn't that be good thinking on your part? But if you're going to get this God of your understanding, would it be afraid of answering questions? Because any so-called made-up imaginary friend that I'm going to create for a higher power is not afraid of being asked questions. And I'm not talking about what's your favorite color, who's your favorite band, did you like the Adore album by the Smashing Pumpkins as much as I did, even though the fans hated it at the time it came out? No, I'm talking about some real questions. And so this video is going to be questions for the AA higher power. And it shouldn't mind me, asking them, because after all, it's the spirit of the universe, according to AA. It knows everything. It can reach into your brain and take away your desire to drink if you beg it enough and you do a lot of inventories and you grovel and you don't have any good opinions about yourself and you have no belief in yourself or any confidence or anything good. Anything good that you feel about yourself is just ego and pride and all these other made-up buzzwords that cults use to keep you in submission. So how about some questions? I'm going to ask you a few questions. And if you can think of any additional ones, chime in on the comments. Like I said, this is all off the cuff. It's last second. I didn't know this was going to be the topic till just now, by the way. The first question: why can't you, if you could do anything and everything, spirit of the universe, including reaching into my brain and removing people's desire to drink on command, provided they grovel enough, why is it necessary for everybody to grovel all the time for the rest of their lives? Why do they have to do inventories for the rest of their lives? Why do they have to attend meetings for the rest of their lives? Couldn't they just grovel before you one good time and say, look, I fucked up. I didn't really, actually. I just got addicted to things. I got addicted to drinking. That's really my crime here. That's my sin against you, apparently, AA higher power, You can do whatever you want in AA. You can lie, you can steal, you can molest underage girls, you can prey on treatment center girls, you can deal heroin to them, you can manipulate, lie to people, and do every kind of vile act on the planet. But if you don't drink, you're spiritual, according to AA, remember? So, AA higher power. I developed an addiction to alcohol. I used to love the way it made me feel. It made my OCD stop happening. It made all my insecurities and fears kind of dampened. It gave me a little boost of confidence. It made music sound better. It made everything better. And I got addicted to that. And somewhere along the way, it became more of a painful hindrance than it did become anything that was joyful. And finally, towards the end, it was downright horrifying, but I was still addicted to it, and I still needed it to function and to get through life. So, AA higher power, my first question to you is this: if I came to you, AA higher power, God of my understanding, or whatever the fuck you are, spirit of the universe, and I grovel a little bit, and I say, look, I committed a crime. I got addicted to something that felt good because it made me feel good, which kind of hard to see how that's a crime, but hey, whatever. Who am I to question the spirit of the universe, right? Why can't I just grovel before you one time and you remove the desire to drink and then I don't drink anymore? Why do I have to sit in those dreary, boring, horrible meetings for the rest of my life listening to these disgusting fucking people run their mouths on their soapboxes, high off of their own ego, legends in their own mind, bullies who just enjoy hearing themselves talk and who are going to put me down forever and ever and ever and ever for the remainder of my life? and are not going to ever encourage me or ever be a friend when I need a friend, and they're not actually going to contribute anything to me but more depression and misery and anxiety, which in turn might trigger me to drink again. Why do I have to grovel before them for the rest of my life? Why can't I just come to you, God of my understanding, AA higher power, spirit of the universe, and just ask you, can't you just make me stop boozing? Or, hey, since you could do anything at all, can't you make me drink like I used to drink when I was a younger guy and I was having a ball and a blast when I would drink on weekends or at parties or at concerts or wherever it was I liked to drink, or just at the end of a hard day's work when I wanted to have a drink or two and relax? Can't you just restore me to that? Why do you need more groveling for the rest of my natural life? Okay, that would be question number one for you. Question number two for you, this may be a little bit more difficult. AA, higher power, spirit of the universe, whatever the fuck you are. Why can't you write a book that's coherent and not riddled with logical fallacies? Like, I realize you picked a guy to type this book out that he ripped off from an organization that said Adolf Hitler was a gift from God. I realize you probably picked the worst candidate possible to write that book, but I don't know. You're the spirit of the universe. You can reach in through people's brains and take away their desire to drink. Take away their character defects, which are actually just natural, ordinary human traits that are not defects of character at all. You know, it's not a defect of character if a cat has the urge to bring you a dead bird for a present. That's not a cat character defect. That's a cat doing what it's designed kind of to do by evolution, centuries of evolution, and there are lots of scientific data to back up why this is, and it's kind of the same thing with human beings. Human beings do certain things based on centuries of existence. But anyway, I won't ask you the tough questions, AA higher power. I'll just ask you this one. Why can't you write a book that I can clearly understand, a book that would be really easy to read, that I would only have to read one time, and by the time I got to the end of the book, I'd say, wow, I read a book written by AA higher power, spirit of the universe, whatever. He used a guy to do it, but hey, I've got no doubts after reading this book. This book had all kinds of shit in it that just blew me the fuck away. And yet, I got it, AA higher power. I don't need to grovel and call myself a defective human being for the rest of my life and a sick alcoholic to feed your fragile ego. I've got it now. You gave me the message. You gave me the book. Okay? How come you can't do that? Like, if you just let people relapse and die all the time because they didn't get the program, because the simple program that's easy, that anybody can get, that you have to be stupid to get, that you might be too smart to get, how come you can't make your book a little bit more clearer, where it doesn't matter if you're too dumb or too smart or whatever you are? You can just read the book. Maybe the words are different for everybody who reads it. Maybe it's like some bizarre mystical book that the words just rearrange themselves for everybody who opens it. It says something real personal and private to you, something that only you would know about yourself, and then boom, you're cured. Is there some reason you can't do that? Is there some reason you just can't seem to get it together? Which leads me to another question for you, AA, higher power, God of my understanding, spirit of the universe, or whatever the fuck you are. Why did you pick such an utter piece of shit to write the book? Like, I don't know. There's nobody on earth that's not got issues of some sort. There's nobody on earth that's a saint. Saint is a made-up word anyway, made up by religions to venerate certain individuals, to make other people live like those individuals who probably didn't live like that to begin with, as an exemplary idol of their made-up religions. I understand that, so there is no such thing as that type of thing. I get it. But I don't know. Why couldn't you just pick the regular, ordinary, down-to-earth guy? Why couldn't you just pick some guy? Like, I don't know. How about you do this, AA, higher power, spirit of the universe, whatever the fuck you are? Why didn't you pick a guy who was drinking himself to death in a gutter, a homeless guy, who was on his last legs, who had liver failure? Why didn't you pick him to write the book? Why didn't you pick him and beam your magical energy down into him and heal his liver and make him write that book that would go on to change the lives of millions of people? Why did you pick a greedy con man, a no-good son of a bitch that had very obviously narcissistic tendencies and almost a cruelty in torturing and humiliating people, that even wrote in your own book, the book you inspired to write, that there's a great amount of fun in my program? Why? One poor bastard killed himself in my home. He wouldn't even see our way of life. Why did you pick that guy to do it? Why didn't you pick a couple of nobodies who were down there on their luck and dying? who had liver failure, who had heart problems? Why didn't you miraculously heal them? And then give them the means to write a book, and a book that everybody could read that has a drinking problem, and it would work for them 100%. No, instead you picked a couple of con artists like Bob, the one that got his buddy to go after his own daughter. If I was 40-something years old and I had another guy my age who was a friend of mine come to me and say, could you do me a favor? Could you go down to the local high school and could you break up my daughter and her boyfriend and start dating my daughter? I'd look at them like they were fucking nuts. But hey, you picked these guys, and they supposedly wrote this book. And the book is riddled with logical fallacies. It's riddled with absolute utter nonsense. But it's helped benefit a few narcissistic asshole gurus in AA who get to feel important all the days of their life and do performances in meetings and treat other human beings like garbage and cause more people to drink themselves to death. But I think if I was you, AA, God, higher power, God of my understanding, spirit of the universe, or whatever the fuck you are, I think I could have come up with a better plan than that. Like, I know you say there's nobody who's too stupid for your stupid fucking program, but I would think that if there are people too smart, and you being the creator of a universe and all that kind of stuff, I think you could do better than that. I mean, this should be child's play for you, right? Like, you just oofed the earth into existence, did you not? And you took time with World War II about to happen, with the Nazis taking over Germany in the 1930s. You took time with all the things that were going on in the world, like with Japan and China doing what they were doing in the 30s, like with all the Manchurians being murdered. You took time to go find a drunk in a hotel room and tell him, who are you to say there's no God, you atheist scum? I mean, if you could take time to do that, couldn't you help make a better book? And by the way, why do we have to read your book over and over and over again? I haven't ever been explained to that by you, AA, higher power, God of my understanding, spirit of the universe. Why couldn't I just read it one time and it'd be so miraculously mind-blowing that it would rocket me into the 19th dimension? By the way, the 4th dimension is to do with time, if you ever saw the old movie, The Time Machine. But why couldn't it just rocket me into that dimension and I never have to read it again? The only thing I would be required to do with that book is give it to somebody else. The only thing that I would be required to do with that book, by the time I got done with the book, if it was me doing this thing, since AA people like to claim that I think I'm God, since I don't like AA, you think you're God. Well, if I was God and I created a book that would change your life, rocket you into the 4th dimension, I would leave a commandment at the end of the book. There's only one thing I'm asking of you. Take this book, find someone who's drinking themselves to death, give it to them, and let them read it. And buy them a drink, too, because if they're having severe withdrawals, they're going to need that. But just give them this book, and that'll be the end of it. I wouldn't tell you had to read a book forever and ever and ever until you die. Like in the hospital bed, when you're on your last breath, somebody's going to have to tell you to look at pages 86, 87, and 88. Can't you write a better book than this, higher power, God of the universe, spirit of the whatever you are? Tripping over those words for all these grandiose titles. And another question, why is it that the strictest adherents to your book are the utter pieces of shit? I mean, I don't actually see anybody in AA so-called practicing principles in all their affairs that are not the gurus and the celebrities of AA that are not utter pieces of shit. I mean, can't you solve their problems? Can't you make them stop being narcissistic assholes? You are the spirit of the universe, or do you just care about removing people's drinking problems? Is that all you really give a shit about? As long as I bow and scrape to you and kiss your ass and talk about what a garbage human being I am, a garbage human being that you kind of claim you made. You kind of claim credit for that in the AA literature, who gave me these instincts, and these instincts that you gave me, you're now calling character defects. Couldn't you just, I don't know, maybe snap your fingers or something like that, or clap your hands and just make me stop being a narcissist if I was a narcissist, make me stop being a psychopath if I was a psychopath? Couldn't you do that? Or does the 12 steps only work for alcohol? Coincidentally, while we were asking that question, I would like to ask you another question. Why is it you care more about guru drunks getting parking spaces that maybe somebody who has a debilitating condition and might need that parking space, maybe somebody with multiple sclerosis who needs to park closer to the building to walk to the building entrance, maybe a pregnant lady needs that parking spot? Why do you give those assholes parking spots over everybody else? And since we're on that subject, why don't you ever do anything, a little bit more major outside of just people who drink? I don't know, why can't you do something about spinal injuries? Why can't you do something about multiple sclerosis? Why can't you do something about rheumatoid arthritis? Why can't you do something about debilitating conditions that cause people to be blind, or debilitating conditions that make people lose their hearing? Or how about people who marry and have children only for those children to get cancer when they're 8, 9 years old? Can you not do nothing for them, or do you not give a shit about them? Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, AA, higher power, spirit of the universe. I ask a question you don't like because the book that you beamed down into that piece of shit Bill W.'s head says that's just pride and ego, me asking you that. I can't ask you that question. Please don't make me drink again. Please, I'll get down on my knees and start licking your boots. Oh, you don't have any boots because you're invisible, but I'll do it. Just don't make me drink again. That is the philosophy of AA, isn't it? The philosophy of AA is, don't hurt me. I'll do whatever you want to do. Kill all the drunks that you could kill so long as I'm spared the drunken death. That is the philosophy of AA. It's not, well, then AA, higher power, spirit of the universe, whatever the fuck you are, please explain to me what the philosophy of AA is. Because you can't write a clear-cut book. And you can't get anybody worth a shit to write the book. And your representatives on Earth are utter pieces of shit. And you don't seem to be really good for much of anything other than getting empty praise from people who relapse and commit suicide. By the way, if you're really concerned with helping alcoholics and addicts and all these other made-up terms that society has labeled people, why don't you remove the stigma of getting addicted to alcohol? Why don't you take that away from ordinary human beings? I almost said ordinary working people. What am I, making a fucking political speech? But ordinary people in society, they have a tendency to look at people who have drinking problems and drug problems as being failures, as being losers, as being nothing, as these ne'er-do-wells that they can torment and manipulate. You know, kind of like that song, I can't remember who sung it, the man outside the liquor store begging for change. You know, and you give him an ugly look and you talk to him like he doesn't even deserve to live. Couldn't you, AA, God, higher power, spirit of the universe, or whatever the fuck you are, couldn't you remove that stigma? Couldn't you just make people a little bit more understanding of people with drinking problems? Oh, no. You don't want that to happen. You want people who have drinking problems to suffer. So they'll crawl through broken glass on their hands and knees to get to you. And then they can bow and kiss up to you and beg you and do inventories and let sponsors torment and bully and manipulate them in the hope that you'll give them some sobriety. So, AA, higher power, spirit of the universe, you sound kind of like you're a little sadistic to me. You're not sadistic, are you? I mean, I hope you're not sadistic. Otherwise, you might make me drink tomorrow for having the balls to question you here, because I'm going to ask you that question too. Do you like seeing people suffer? Do you like seeing people commit suicide? Do you select one tiny little group of drunks in the AA meeting to sit there and talk about how some have to die so that others can live, and it's by God's grace I have this program? What they really mean is all these other low-life fucks can die horribly of cirrhosis of the liver. They can die from suicide. They can, they can die by a drunken misadventure where they accidentally fall down a flight of stairs and break their neck and they can never walk again. All that can happen, but me, not me. I did the 12 steps. I'm special in the eyes of the AA higher power. Could you do a little bit to correct that attitude, by the way, AA, God, or spirit of the universe, or all that other kind of thing? Couldn't you take away a little bit of their egotism? You know, these AA gurus that seem to delight in the torments of their fellow man. The people who seem to kind of get high off the idea that people are relapsing and dying. The people that seem to kind of enjoy seeing people suffer and being in pain. Well, I had this piece of shit sponsor that I swear, maybe it was just my imagination, AA higher power. Since you don't like to answer a lot of questions, maybe it was my imagination, but I swear to you, AA higher power, I swear to God, oh no, I swear to you, the God of my understanding. He enjoyed seeing people suffer. He enjoyed seeing people in pain. He enjoyed making people miserable. He enjoyed stealing from sponsees. He enjoyed exploiting certain vulnerable young girls who got out of treatment. And he had the nerve to sit in meetings and say, it's by the grace of God, I'm sober today. And yeah, those unfortunate people that he fucked over, that some of them were out there wandering the streets with needles in their arms. I guess, hey, higher power, you don't care about them, right? But couldn't you have fixed that problem? Or do you delight in that sort of thing? God of the universe, or spirit of the universe, or whatever you are. I mean, it's just a few questions. Maybe it's a long litany of questions. Maybe I sound a little hostile here because I'm a little frustrated at your silence while your religious cult gets away with doing all kinds of unspeakable things to people, and it's so accepted in society as a go-to solution, while that very same society is more than happy to kick somebody who's homeless on the street with a cardboard sign because he's just a drunken bum. Which is weird because you allow that stigma to continue. You have done nothing to correct the stigma. You've let society view people with the drinking problem as having a moral failing, while your beloved organization of AA that you helped create with Bill W. and Dr. Bob perpetuates that stigma, that very stigma. They don't perpetuate that alcoholism is a disease. They perpetuate it as it's a moral failing. The very definition of disease in the program that you created, AA God, is, the moral failing. That's the disease, that someone's not bowing to you enough, groveling to you enough, kissing your ass enough. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, AA higher power, but you are a God of my understanding. After all, I created you, because that's what AA people do, is they make up imaginary friends, and they claim those imaginary friends give them parking spaces, and those imaginary friends give them a license to torment and bully relapsers. So since I'm making you up and I'm asking you some questions, you do have, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to prove to me, like it did in the AA Big Book, you're going to appear to me and you're going to say, who are you to question God? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do that. And let's see, we're going to count. We'll use our fingers since I don't have a stopwatch in front of me. 9, 8, 7, 7.5, 6. You got 5 more seconds, spirit of the universe, to talk to me. At least answer my questions. I mean, if you're going to just fire a lightning bolt up my ass, at least answer my questions before you do that. 4, 3, 2, 2.5. The AA higher power is not interested in talking to me. Why? Because I'm full of self-will and pride and ego and resentment and self-pity and all those other things that AA calls bad. I'm going to drink myself to death. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't had a drink in a very long time. I haven't had a drink in, I don't even know how long it's been since I've had a drink. The AA higher power must love me. He loves me above everybody else. You know what? Tomorrow morning, he's going to give me a parking spot real close to the building, wherever I'm going. If it's pouring down rain, he's going to give me that parking spot. You know how I know that? Because I didn't drink today. So that's all the proof AA wants. Good enough for me, right? Chime in on the comments and let me know what you think about all of that. If you've got any questions for the spirit of the universe, I don't have a magic 8-ball. I don't have a telephone to connect to him with, but chime in and let me know what you think about that. Did you ever notice that it was weird that the God of everybody's understanding in AA was the same God that every bullying tyrant in AA and every spiritual phony guru had? He wanted you to go to meetings, work steps, mistreat newcomers, sexually exploit them if possible, no consensual relations between 2 adults who agree to do anything together. It's not like that. It's not like 2 consenting adults meeting somewhere and getting to know one another and just choosing to have a little fling or fun or whatever it is they want to do. No, it's more like, let me find this vulnerable girl who has no place to sleep tonight in 20-degree weather, and I'll buy her some heroin and I'll abuse her. And the God of my understanding is perfectly fine with that, so long as you don't drink. You can go get a 20-year medallion after you've taken money out of your sponsee's wallet, and he'll give you a parking space at the clubhouse, the AA clubhouse, closest to the AA clubhouse. And you can throw a temper tantrum when someone doesn't make the coffee to your liking while you complain that nobody else does any service work but you. That's what the AA spirit of the universe seems to want, unless he wants to answer me. See you guys next week. Like I said, this was spur of the moment. Didn't know I was going to make one. And until next time.